Well, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's a little nippy here in Las Vegas this morning. It is the normal downturn of weather here on the West Coast. It's usually here in Vegas at the end of October that we start to feel that fall going into winter weather for us, which is nothing compared to what you guys have on the East Coast. But still, for us, it gets a little cool and a little chilly. I looked this morning, it was only 45 degrees, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, it is about that time. It is about that time. But anyway, so it's good. I get to pull out my sweaters. And I have a lot of them because I don't like cold. So a lot of sweaters and a lot of coats. So it's okay. I can stay warm. Anyway, my topic this morning is dealing with the strength within is much more powerful than what's without. All of those things that are on the outside of our psyche, our atmosphere, our existence, what's within us is much more powerful than anything that's coming at us. And a lot of times we don't understand that and we don't realize that. And sometimes we just have to look back in retrospect to really understand it. So, October 30th is always a day of reflection for me, deep reflection, actually. 40 years ago, as I thought about it this morning, I'm going, oh my God, 40 years. 40 years ago today, my mother transitioned. Um, yeah, she left me. She left me in good hands with God, I guess. But I never will forget feeling what I felt that night, standing in my home and coming to grips. She died at home, and so coming to grips with the fact that my rock was gone, that she was gone. I don't think it's really funny when I think about it, and I get a little emotional. But my mother had been sick for 9 years. I had taken care of her the last 4 years of her life. She had been on dialysis for 9 years when she transitioned, and she had a rough time of it. She had lost the use of her hands and her legs because of degeneratory arthritis in her spine. It was a lot. It was a lot, but she was yet still the strongest person on this planet that I knew. And I used to, it was like, how you try to prepare yourself for things, and I would think, she's gonna probably outlive me. I remember the first time she went on dialysis, when I finally got her to go to the hospital, she had over 50 pounds of fluid on her. She was barely breathing, but she had refused to go to the hospital because my daughter, who was 3 at the time, was in the hospital. She had got a streptococci infection in her leg, and so they had to stop it before it got to her knee. It was just so much going on, but my mother refused to go to the hospital until my daughter came home. So it was an extra week that she held on. And finally, my daughter came home that Friday morning. I took my mother to the hospital that Friday night. I got a call about 2 o'clock in the morning from the kidney specialist at Sunrise Hospital, and he told me that my mother was literally drowning to death and that they needed to get her on dialysis right away. And I'm going, well, why are you on the phone talking to me? Why aren't you doing what you need to do? And he said, well, she's not cognizant enough to give us the permission. So by all means, do it. So I get to the hospital because, right, my kids, I can't leave right then, but as early as I possibly could, I could find somebody to keep my kids for me. I was at the hospital probably by no later than 7 a.m. And I met the doctor. I'd never met him before. And his words to me was, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, what? Because I'm looking at my mother and she has tubes like coming out of every orifice of her body. It looked like, I was like, oh my God. And hooked up to this big machine and what have you. And he said, she literally fought death and won. I was like, yeah, that would be my mama. That would be my mama. But he did. He was like, I've never seen anything like it. She literally, that's what he said. She literally fought death and lived another 9 years. And so I used to like in my mind think she'll probably outlive me, you know. But when that moment came and she transitioned, it was so surreal because for the first time in my life, I felt totally alone. House full of people, but I felt totally, totally alone. And I'm recapturing this because now I fast forward 40 years to the day, 40 years. And I think about all the different things that I've had to walk through and stand up in the midst of and encounter and be strong through. And I would have never thought at the moment that I stood in that hallway that night thinking I was totally alone that I would have been able to withstand and encounter and walk through all that I have. But it's because of the strength that is within. When my mother passed, I wasn't saved yet. I hadn't given my life to the Lord. That didn't come for another few years. But yet and still, she had embedded this fierceness within me. And I'm so grateful for it. She had reared me as a lioness. You know, I tell you, I'm so taken and so drawn to the lioness. But when I think about it, it's because it's part of my DNA. It's part of who my mother raised me to be. Um, and without knowing it, like some of it I was fighting, but even the fight against the training and the teaching strengthened me to overcome. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just kind of feeling a little nostalgic this morning, but I just want to encourage you that whatever you're walking through right now, that you may feel like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to make it through. Yes, you will. The strength within you is strong enough and powerful enough to get you through. Why? Because it's embedded within you from your creator, from your father. He created you. He fearfully and wonderfully, with his own workmanship and craftsmanship, created you and put you in an environment to excel. Sometimes we feel like the environment that we've walked in and that we've lived in was to crush us. It built you. It built you. It didn't crush you. It built you. So start drawing from that power from within and know that nothing, I mean nothing, shall be withheld from you that has been promised to you by your Father. All right? All right. That's it. Enough. That's my nugget for today. I love you with the love of Christ. You absolutely positively know there's nothing you can do about it. And I am praying that you have an absolutely positively fantabulous and powerful day.